If that's quite short, that'd be a bit of a break, because I think yours is a portfolio, so it might be a slightly longer of you display.
Everyone says no deal straight away. So.
Let me just find. Let me just find where it is. I'll see. Oh, it's in Keynote. That's very good. Right, so tell us what you're looking at here, obviously.
So hi guys, so this is a block of apartments. I originally started looking at holiday lets, and I spent the last 3.5 months on the motorway, 2 days a week from London to Lake District, to Cumbria, Northumberland. For the last 3 months, I would say I've been there every week. I spent 2 days on the car. Managed to get some deals. Unfortunately, a couple of them, we lost them because we didn't have enough funding. They were very quick. So I just said, I'm just going to take a break for a month, and I'm going to re-look at a different strategy when I come back. Just something that I feel is near to home, something that can work with someone. And one of my really good friends, James Jarrett, I've known him for about 1.5 years now through VIP. We've become really close friends, and he's been working on a model of buying blocks of apartments. So while I'm looking for my own deals in Lake District and Northumberland, what I do is, I'm just sharing this just in case it helps somebody, I go and spend the night before in the pubs in the local area. So I look at where's the best inn in the area, and I go and stay there for the night. And what I do is I just go around talking to everybody, what are you doing, asking questions, but also say, if anyone is looking to sell like their large homes or holiday lets, or blocks of apartments or portfolios, we'll buy them. So because I know that my friend is looking for them, but also looking to buy holiday lets. So the reason I'm saying that story is that I get a phone call from the person that owns this, that I met in a pub. I met his sister in a pub, and I was chatting, and then they were like, oh, by the way, my brother's selling a block of flats, you're interested in that? I was like, yeah, we're interested in that. So I get the phone call, I ask the questions, and then straight away we jump in the next day, me and James jump on a train, go to Penrith, we have a chat with the owner. So the person who built these passed away about 10 years ago, so he left with his wife, and they've got a huge portfolio of blocks of apartments that they built. So this was the first one. We looked at this, and they're quite motivated to sell very quickly. She wants to go away on holiday, I'm not sure the reason, but we got this, and the price for this one, he wanted £600,000. We didn't negotiate prices, then we just had lunch with him, we looked at everything, and we secured it for £500,000. So I would say that's a massive discount, totally off the market. He did not want to put it in the market because he didn't want the people in the local area to know that they're selling, that there's like, I don't know, that was the reason why I didn't want to. And he didn't have a very good experience with agents prior, so that's why it's come directly to us. So I just want to move into the second bit, Clive, into the presentation. Sure. Just want to tell you a little bit about the Lake District. So anyways, so going back to the story of why I'm working with James, I sort of had a chat with him. I was like, look, I'm really struggling with these holiday lets at the moment because I'm always on the motorway, they're not near my house, there's a heavy management, there's always a refurb to be going on, there's always this, they have to add a lot of value to the property, and it takes time. By the time we finish this project, I'm going to be 1.5 years with my head in this project, and yeah, we'll make some money, but is there a better way? And it's like, I've been working with blocks of apartments for the last 4 years, and I believe this is the best model right now we're working on, because you can buy them at bulk, you can buy them at wholesale, meaning that, you know, if Tesco's is going and buying in a loaf of bread, they don't pay £1 for it, even though we go and pay £1 for it, they buy at 20p, and we're going there and buying them as a wholesale investor, meaning that we can negotiate a better price because we can buy them for sure, and we buy them in cash. So there is no planning risks in that, because you just got buy to let and you've got tenants in. There is no financial sort of complications because you're buying it in cash at a discount rate, and there isn't any sort of management risk because it's not heavily managed like a HMO or a service accommodation or a holiday let. So from those 3 points, I was like, okay, well, how about I'll work with you, I source the deals, I source potential investors, and you help me with your system, and we partner up together, and we create a platform for any investor, from small cap investor to large cap investor, to bring people in. And he works with mainly family offices and sort of high net worth individuals. He's got like 4 investors who put all the money into his deals. And I just propose that we go out there and we meet small cap investors between 50,000 to 500,000, where they can put their money into a deal, take all the money back out within 12 months and have some equity if they wanted to, or have a return, a return for their money, meaning they don't have any risks, they just give us the money, we then guarantee to give them the money back within 12 months. And the way we do that is that we purchase the whole block of apartments in one go, we bring the rents up to the right value where they should be. These ones are at the moment at 420. However, if you go to the next page, so this is the Lake District, by the way. 17 million people visit the Lake District. It's it's one of the most visited areas in the UK, and so we're not just buying these blocks of apartments in areas where we're just going to get a 30% discount. They've got to be in really good areas. It's not just the discount. It's not just the main driver. It's the asset has to be the right asset. So this one, so these are the blocks. So they're very good condition. These are the rents at the moment that we can get from the agents. So about 650. They're on at the moment at 420, 450. So clearly they haven't put their rents up to the market value. Can we go to the next page? This one here. So these, at the moment, the valuation for these for the blocks of flats are between 98 to 230. So we reckon these flats will be like 120, 110, right? That's how much the valuation will be. So we're buying them at 500 over here and at £71,000 per unit, right? And we'll buy them in cash within 6 months. We bring the rents up. What we do is that the issue with commercial investment is that you're paying premium on your lending. So when you go into a lender, you're looking at paying like 9%, between 6 and 9, depending on what they are. So what we do is we take the whole block of apartment, we split the title, we split the freehold, and then what we do is we separate the flats into different lenders, and then we then benefit from the buy-to-let sort of system. Then we're using 5% lending. So we're saving that 4% on the lending here, and also we get this discount over here, and that's how we can release all the money up within a year. So I think, to me, the timing right now is the best time, because a lot of people are hurt by the interest rates. A lot of people that have these properties in commercial are hurt by that massive amount, and their rents haven't really gone to where they need to be. So we believe that the next 18 months is the biggest opportunity that we've seen in the last 15 years to invest and buy these properties at a larger scale. Hence, I'm working this model right now, and this is what I'm looking to get. If you look over here, Clive, last presentation. So these are the numbers for this one if you want to take a photo. We're looking for investors for this deal. We've got 6 other deals that James is working on at the moment, but this is my deal, and I brought it here just in case anyone wants to get involved. We prefer a general interest only model, but we also can do a hybrid system. We can have a percentage on this and from the upscale of the investment, or we can look at a different model if that's something you're interested in. Talk to us. That's it, really.
Excellent.
Any questions?
This is a conundrum I'm going to come to in my presentation. You're buying it at 500.
Yeah.
So on land registry, the block is going to get stamped at 500.
It doesn't. Anything you buy on commercial rates doesn't get registered on land registry.
Okay.
So what happens is that people think when you buy commercially, it goes into land registry. It does not go. That doesn't get registered.
So your refinanceability is because you bought it on commercial loan. Because you're refinancing it, aren't you?
Yeah, we're buying in cash.
Yeah, but you're looking to take out the refinance, the gap between 500 and 600.
This will be valued at 800 in a year.
So it's going to be valued at 800 a year because you split. That's why. The sum of the parts is greater than the whole.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this deal is worth 300 grand. Like we've just put the money in, taken it out, and then we'll still own the assets. And what I didn't share is that what we're looking to do is we're looking to get 1,000 units in the next 4 years. So James already secured 90 at the moment, 90 separate units. We're looking to secure in the next 3.5 years to have 1,000 units. And the plan is that, well, if you look at the by the way, if you look at the macroeconomics at the moment, what's happened is that there's the bridge model where you're looking at all the people are going to be struggling in the next 20 years to get into real assets, meaning that the bridge is opening up, right? It's going to get even more difficult for people to buy assets. And if you look at people like Lloyds, they say they want to be the biggest asset owners in the UK, meaning the lender has realised how important the assets are, so they want to be the biggest owners. So they want to control pretty much the whole UK market. And what we think is going to happen is that the more units we buy, these lenders then want to buy these assets from us. So we're looking at an exit plan of 20 years on these assets. So I think people are going to struggle to get into the ladder in the next 15, 20 years, so everyone's going to be renting. And yeah, so that's why I think this model is a fantastic model, especially right now. In a year and a half, when interest rates go down, a lot of people are going to get into the market, therefore you're not going to see these 27%, 30% discounts. And this is the standard discounts that James has been getting for the last 3 years. He's got deals at 36% discount, 40%. Some developers are going bust and stuff like that we're picking up deals. He won a Property Award winner 2018, also has raised over £90 million of investment. So partnering up with someone that has already got the track record for me was a very a good decision, instead of just working on my own and just raising just having JV partners, one person that can raise the money, because I had problems with that because we didn't have enough money to do the bigger deals, and we had too much competition on smaller deals. So that's why I'm working this model right now. So if anyone wants to know more about this, I'm happy to.
Georgina first, and then Michael.
So just a clarification on Ryder's question, then my own, if it's okay. So you're saying that it doesn't get stamped on land registry because it's a commercial property. So what's the planning class? Like, help me to understand what it needs to be not to be stamped. Because presumably it's sui generis.
So no, this is just a standard. These are standard buy-to-lets. It's literally just a standard buy-to-let.
So how is it not going onto land registry? Help me understand that.
When you do a commercial commercial transactions don't get registered in land industry. So afterwards, it will be when it's split into titles, right?
I think it's a commercial loan, the stamp duty you pay will be reduced, I agree.
It gets
But
stamped.
it'll get stamped.
It will get stamped. I'm not sure how that's done. I don't actually know
When
that.
I was
So.
looking at blocks of flats before, they were going onto land registry, so just maybe something just to double check. And then you mentioned about changing title splitting. So we
Yeah.
looked at this on 6bed, so I'm interested. You mentioned about title splitting and then getting mortgages based on the flat by flat because it's then buy to let. But then what I found when I was doing the numbers is you've got, the 7 there, you've got 7 sets of legals, right? So what I mean by legals, I mean with three grand or whatever the solicitors, the lender solicitor is going to charge you per house.
Yeah.
You're getting a reduction in the interest rate, but I'm just curious, because when I looked at this for a 6-bed, and it might be different if you're looking at more bedrooms, like 12 for example,
Yeah.
it was actually better to take the higher interest rate and just get one mortgage for the house, because by the time you paid all of the solicitors, the lender's legal fees, it was actually worse.
I think you're right. There's all the small things, this money here. I think I don't really understand that part of it, but James seems to take all the money out. So he's the one that's taking care of that, and he works. He's a partner that he works with. He's an accountant. He used to work for one of the main fours, Deloitte or Capac. I'm not sure what the company they work for, but he was an accountant for 28 years. So we've got a team, meaning that James negotiates the deals and brings the financing. There's somebody that sits on the back end that deals with all his legal team. There's like a system that's already working. So I'm not really at that stage. This is just a deal that came 2 weeks ago. Prior 2 weeks ago, I was working on holiday lets on development, right? So I'm working with him because I think it's a great model. So I'm just being very honest with it. I wasn't prepared to bring up this today. I just typed it in. But this is the kind of these numbers are very kind of rough around it. But as an investor, so if you're investing in some of our deals, the reason I'm showing this stuff is that you would get all your money back within 12 months, and I think that's pretty secure in terms of the numbers. So,
Michael, please.
Yeah. So thanks, Georgina. But this is a 7-bedroom or 7-room property.
yeah.
What sort of property is it? I don't think it's sort of. Is it a Victorian, large Victorian house?
No, these are just like just 2-bedroom apartments.
So what's that one?
So the square foot, if you go here, Clive, so these are the if you go below that, sorry.
So is it kind of, when do you know when it was built?
It was built 20 years ago. So we don't, by the way, we don't buy anything built recently. Reason being is the build quality is not great. So we look at anything that's like between sort of 18, 20 years. So this was built by a local builder, which is the family people that own this.
Yeah. So you built in 1919 maybe.
Yeah, 20 years ago, yeah, something like that.
Thank you.
Can I just ask, perhaps Raj would answer this for me, if you can, why you were concerned whether the block of flats is registered on land registry?
So the point I was trying to understand was how is he refinancing out adding value? And what I'm hearing from Olsey is the value's being added by taking one title and splitting it into multiples, raising the rentals as well. So there's a capital appreciation, and then there's
a discount. So the first one is a discount. The first lever is a discount, which is a 30%, 27%.
Usually, if you buy at a discount, you want to try and figure out how you can refinance back out and take that discount out. But that's not what's happening here. It's slightly different.
Yeah, understood.
It's doing it in a kind of roundabout way. So.
Yeah, it's fully legal. There's nothing that we're doing. It's like inflating. We're not inflating the price of the asset. We're buying it at a discount. So I think there's many people.
Daphne, please.
There's many things you can do.
Daphne it does know a little bit about title splitting on blocks of flats, so hopefully she can contribute.
No, so yeah, you've bought it. You're buying it at a discount, which is great. In order to split it, there has to be a sale. So you're going to be selling it to Olsey Company 1 buys it, Olsey Company 2, it sells the titles, the split titles to. So Company 1 will keep the freehold.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? Company 2 will keep all the flats.
Yeah.
Company 2 has to buy them on paper, it's not getting to exchange of money, but it has to buy them at the fair market value. So they won't show, this company will show the full price.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, when you borrow out,
You borrow it at that.
borrowed at that price, which has to be, otherwise HMS, and because if you do that in a group,
Yeah.
which I've just done, you're not paying any, because there would be otherwise SDLT,
Yeah.
there would be capital gains because this price is less than this price.
Yeah, yeah.
But if they, which I'm sure your guy knows all about,
This is his
but
system, so yeah.
it's kind of a bit woolly, and then the price that gets registered at the land registry is the new price.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know the ins and outs of that. If you want to know more, then I'm happy to.
I spoke to James about this quite a while ago actually, and it's exactly that. So on the day of purchase, I think Company A does what we describe as well. So he's described.
There's a bit of jiggling about. It's a bit of jiggling. You put this there in a company. Because the thing is, if you own the freehold in the same company, the lenders will still look at you as a commercial. So it has to be gone to a different entity.
Yeah, as long as it's just jiggling about and not Aaron calls it jiggy jiggy.
No.
I've been determined to get that all bloody week.
So yeah.
Yeah, but actually, people on Aaron's don't tend to do much or know much about title splitting. It's a very popular strategy, and there are people who just teach it. And it seems amazing that just a block of flats can be worth more just because you split the titles. I mean, I can understand them going up a little bit in value because they've all then got, but they seem to go up quite a lot just because you've split it. Certainly in terms of the lending, I don't know why anyone can contribute, but it just seems to happen.
Can Rex talk a little bit about property filters facility for finding potential title split deals?
Yeah, sure. Actually, Daphne and I, we met on the same course. Essentially, one of the challenges is finding these deals. I mean, obviously, you can meet people and then find them. But that's very fun. But on property filter, you have a template which goes down one track, which is where they've been filed as flats, as opposed to as buildings. There's another way of also unearthing the ones that have been filed as buildings. Either way, you'll be able to find them depending on if they exist locally. And then what you'll find is some areas just don't have flats. You'll have a concentration of family houses because the prices are so low. So that's one of the challenges. There's a template for it.
I will invite Rex, if he's okay, short, but later on to have a look at property filter with us, because it would seem a shame for him not to, and for us not to benefit from that, if you're okay with that, put on the spot. Any more questions for Olsen? That was great.
By the way, just a quick thought on that. So we're in London. We do a property event every month. We potentially going to do the FOMO in London at some point. James will be there and he'll do his presentation. You can ask him any questions about all the details, how he does it, how he builds his team, and how he raises money. So that's something that we can share more. And I think locations is really important for these properties as well. It's like just the discount is not so. Discount is important. The title split is important, but the deal fundamentally needs to be in a great area. This is 5 minutes, 7 minutes walk to the train station. So in a great area. I think in London you can get these deals right now, blocks of apartments as well, and still make them work. But there you're looking at like a higher ticket price. Yeah, you're looking higher.
Yeah, Frank Flegg showed us a couple of blocks a couple of weeks ago on the course. Yeah, Amelia, please.
I just want to sort of like understand a bit more your point. You're part of the joint venture with James. What is it that you're doing?
So we met in the VIP, and I was going to manage his service accommodation portfolio that he bought loads of properties in there. So I was working with him, we did the numbers, and I just couldn't get the numbers working. So I was like, I've done all this work, I spent 3-4 weeks, it's about giving value to people you're working with. And I think I committed to working with him, I gave him all the research, I said, this is not going to work, the numbers we're getting, it's not enough. And then he's like, I really want to work with you, we just need to find the right project. So we've been looking at loads of different things. We nearly bought a holiday let in Lake District for 1.5 million that I was going to work with. I go around and I meet loads of investors, I network a lot. So there's 2 investors that I'm working with. The only problem has been that we haven't been able to find the deals that these investors are comfortable with to go into deals with me. But because James has a lot of experience, his credibility and his companies and his trust is like, he's developed like over like 500 units. So he's been a developer. He has so much experience to give that when I'm bringing investors through me to him, we all benefit from the project. Meaning that James raised all his capital from funds, family offices, and wealthy individuals. So he has a number of deals he's doing at the moment, and I said, why don't I work in and bring in some of my investors, and we can benefit from your system, and we all get a percentage from it. So I guess I'm doing the deal sourcing and also networking and bringing people into our deals, because James doesn't do that. He said, I've got 5 people I work with. I always go to them because I'm for sure I'm going to get my money from them. But I said, I don't mind going and networking with people and bringing people
So
in.
you're kind of a little bit of diversification for him, really. So
Yeah.
probably there's funds coming from
Scalability. The issue that he's got is scalability.
Yeah.
Like, he wants to get to 1,000 units in the next 4 years, and if he's only working with these 4 people, I think the more deals that we can do, the better it is. And if I'm bringing the deals and also bringing in part of the financials into it, then we can scale that much quicker. So scalability and timing, and what he says is that people look at location. However, professionals look at timing as well, because one strategy works right now, and you want to make sure you're not just like, oh, I know how to do this, therefore I'm going to marry a strategy and be married to this, even though she's treating me really badly. So it's kind of going, okay, being flexible with that. So I think timing is really important, and the timing in the market right now is amazing, especially if you want to scale it. So that's why I've jumped from that model to this model.
That's great. Did I see a hand over there? Oh, I did notice at least. Okay, unless there's anything else, we'll say thank you.
Thank you. This was my first presentation, by the way, I've ever done. So.
Brilliant. I'm just going to find Raja's here on. That's okay.
While Clive's doing that, when I introduced myself to all of you, I didn't do a 60-second pitch this morning because I knew I was going to do this. So, I'm Raj. Me and Jules of the VIP, some of you might know her. She joined October 22. I jacked my job in July last year and joined the VIP as well. So property is not my sole source of income, because I do some consulting on the side, but property is my main source of income in the future. With Jules, built a property portfolio over the past 20 years. I've been in property for 20 years. Telecoms is my career, my background. Commercial is my specialism. I've done plenty of things in the past 20 years, including worked in startups, worked in corporate. I designed and built my own house. A bit of a control freak sometimes, people say. I also jumped into this kind of feet first and really thinking through how I can scale quickly. Totally buy into everything that you've just said, obviously. I think there is a moment in time, and we've heard Frank tell us this. For those of you that know Frank, he's saying this. Aaron said this, that if you want to buy property, now's the time to buy property. So we went on a bit of a journey. So we started off on holiday lets. Does it sound familiar to anybody? Started on holiday lets. We tried to marry the holiday let strategy. We had various deals that worked, didn't work, fell through. We didn't get any holiday lets in the end. And my kind of thinking on that was that just the process takes too long. It's too time consuming for me. So I'm impatient. I've given up the job. I need to do things quickly. So for me, it's about getting to scale. As you said, obviously, scale, I'll tell you what that means for us. We want to buy 40 to 50 properties in the next 12 months. We're going to do that. Two-pronged attack by portfolios. I'm going to go through a couple today. It is deal or no deal, so I'm going to say, would you do this deal? It's going to be one of the questions. So it's a little bit scary, but we'll see. And then the other thing is, we've very much signed up to Frank's way of thinking. We're building a property portfolio from the bottom up as well. So Jules is working on what we've called our new gold mine area, which is Liverpool. So we look at Liverpool, Manchester, the northwest, I buy portfolios, and Jules is looking to buy properties, all at a discount in that gold mine area. So that's basically what we're trying to do. We're working with investors to do that, so we've got a pot of our own money, but I think it's been said a few times, your money's going to go so far, and then sooner or later you need to find investors. So that's our story. So I've got 2 deals. Go to the first one, Clive. Just let's get down to that slide. So this is a portfolio at Wigan. Let me just kind of stand it up for you, give you a bit of background. The landlord is a portfolio landlord. He's had over 1,000 properties over time. He's got his own lettings agency, so he understands the business really well. So I'm not going to go in, and I'm not going to be able to negotiate a stupid deal with him. I'm not going to be able to pull the wool over his eyes or anything like that. Not that you could ever try to do that. But he's got 20 properties in Wigan that he's wanting to sell. Why? So in getting to know the vendor, I'm saying, well, why do you want to sell? And his reason is he's scaling down his whole portfolio. He's only got about 200 left now. But also, he's got a friend that's got this great renewables deal, and he wants to go and invest in that. So he needs to release £300,000 to go and invest in renewables. That's his motivation, as well as slimming down his portfolio. I talked about AVM earlier on today. So AVM is an automated valuation methodology, and the portfolio has been valued. I valued it at 2 million when I did my comps, and then I got the broker to do a valuation on all the properties and sent him all the properties, and the AVM came back at 2.1 million. So that gave me confidence that 2.1 is the ballpark for this portfolio. When I spoke to Frank about it, he said every day of the week take the AVM. So that's what you would take. So obviously it's not my valuation. The AVM says it's 2.1. So there's a bit of a margin of error on that, but that's what we should go for. He's accepted a 1.7 million offer. Obviously I started out lower, and I didn't get the 1.6, but he accepted on a 1.7. We're moving ahead on that now. It's very realistic as well. I was talking earlier on to somebody in the room about the time to close the deal, and he's really comfortable that we close the deal in the time that it takes to close it. So there's no kind of, you've got to bridge in and buy it really, really quickly, otherwise you're not doing what you're doing. He wants to just find somebody that's going to do what they say and buy the properties off him. So he's comfortable if it goes to term loan or if it goes to bridging, but that's a decision that I need to make, and one of the questions I'm going to have for you guys as well.
I just blew that little bit up so people could read it. Sure. That's all.
So there you can see the numbers over here. Purchase price, discount, about 19%, the deposit, etc., etc., etc. So funds in, it's about £500,000. Here are the costs down here. This is a rental income will generate £175,000. The net cash flow will be about £80,000 per annum. That's what this is going to generate. If you think about in 2 terms, now this, by the way, this is how Frank does things. So you go and you. If it was Aaron, I'd be doing a DA for every single property, and I'd be adding it all up and so on and so forth, which is quite time consuming. But what I'm doing here is looking at the overall deal, and he's going to take a view on things like maintenance and voids. This is a portfolio now, it's not just one property. So for maintenance and voids, I should be able to average out across the portfolio. I shouldn't be taking 10% on every single property. In Aaron's world, if I'd done the kind of individual 20 DAs, it would have given me a false reading. So here, the equity on day one is 82%, the rental return, if you do the numbers, is 16.2, and he looks at this as what's the combined return in year one. Now, that combined return on this deal, if I put 485, roughly 500 in, it's about 100%. So the challenge I've got is I'm going to sink £500,000 into here, and I'm going to figure out whether I bridge it or I go term loan straight away. Obviously, various costs, the cost structure of those two is very different. And if you bridge it for a short-term period, and then you move to a term loan, you've got 2 sets of costs. So what does that look like overall? So that's something I need to think through. And this also is where I was coming at you from. You put your money in. What do you all want to do?
Take it out.
Take it out. So that's the name of the game. And go again. So if you want to do that, how do I get my money out? How do I get my cash out quickly and cost-effectively? So I'm going to use the power of the room. I've got another slide that tells you what I'm planning to do. But I just want to get your thoughts on, number one, would you do this deal? How would you do it? Would you bridge it? Would you go term loan? And then, how are you going to get your money out?
Can you just explain term loan? I do know what it is, but and how long the term would be.
So term loan is like a regular loan from a lender. It could be a commercial loan across all the properties. It could be split up across all the individual properties. But it's going to be your regular 2-year fix, 5-year fix. That kind of loan over a 20-year period or whatever it might be.
So why would you not go for a term loan, and why would you go for a term loan?
Well, I'm asking you the questions first of all.
I'm trying to work out what the advantage of a bridge is other than speed. So why would you not do this?
Would the advantage of the bridge be so you can refinance with the equity? But if you move straight from a term loan and size up into 2-year fix, you're not going to capital out.
Technically, you are exactly right, but I just don't think it's as simple as that. That's why I brought this up. Because what we talked about before is once you buy it at 1.7, okay? and I'm averaging it out, 1.7, it's not 1.7, it's the various different properties, and then they take 1.7. But you buy at 1.7, it's going to be stamped at land registry at 1.7. So when you come to refinance, what happens?
You look at the value.
They go to the last sale price, and so they're going to come up with, well, the value's 1.7. What do you mean 2.1? And you're going, well, hold on, no, well, I got a discount. I bought it 2.1. Why can't I refinance it? So that's the conundrum that we've got. So you're right, Dermot. You're right. You want to bridge in and then refinance back out. How do you do it when land registry doesn't let you?
Proving what today's value is, right?
Possibly.
Some companies will consider that consideration. That's the question.
Yeah.
That's the market value.
You're in effect resetting the AVM as well. The AVM would have gone and done whatever.
If you move really quickly at the moment, land registry takes so long to get anything registered. You can pick it get your valuation done for the surveyor knows how to pay for it.
Yeah.
Can we just let Brett in here, please? I think he had his hand up. Did your hand up as well, Chris?
Yeah.
And then Chris, please.
Thanks for moderating.
Yeah, I just
Right.
wanted to chip in because I love this kind of deal, and I think you should do it. But going back to your outcome, where what you're looking to do is actually to recycle the funds. First thing I thought of was stacked strategies. As in, strategy number one is you're buying a portfolio. Strategy number two is maybe you're title splitting the houses, if possible, at the point of purchase, a little bit like you were just mentioning, so that you might be able to deal with multi-dwellings relief, theoretically.
Yeah.
And also so that you could then, as a third strategy, look at what is the best strategy per property. And so 20 properties, literally divide them into categories. How many could be HMOs? How many could be blocks of flats? How many could be SA, for example? So that, or which ones do you want to flip? So let's say, there's some that are just a nightmare for whatever reason. Those are the rants of the portfolio. Does it make sense to hold on to them just because you bought the total? So that's kind of,
I mean, I like thinking. What I didn't tell you is these are all 3 and 4 beds. So is there potential for some of them to be flipped into HMOs? Yes, there is. And I look at that as, I've got to do this based on these numbers, and these numbers have got to work. And if I can then do something else afterwards, then that's the icing that's on top, and that's extra value for me. I'm not going to factor that into the deal right now. But I do need to think about it, you're quite right.
some of them were HMOs and you could do commercial valuations, all of a sudden you've now got your 500,000 back. Essentially.
It's like I need to convert them to HMOs and so on and so forth.
So that will finance, and that might be why, to answer your question, bridge finance might be a potential solution, because if you go with a regular buy-to-let lender, they would be very risk averse about doing any fiddling with the actual structure or the walls.
So Clive,
Chris and then Rob.
So you're not taking into consideration doing any work? Nothing, you're just doing based on these figures?
so for me, again, moment in time, I want to scale quickly. I don't want to buy somewhere and do it up and take all the time doing it up. I want to buy tenants in situ, cash flow straight away, move on to the next one.
So what's the difference between financing on bridge and if you do it on bridge, how much will that cost you based on this? It's got to be a difference, it's a simple sum, isn't it?
Might be a simple sum. I'm just trying to figure out, and pose the question to you guys. I've got a plan that you may or may not agree with, and I'll show you that. But I'm just trying to figure out how do I get as much money out of the deal as possible. So
first of all, go and speak to financiers and see what value they, whether if you buy it at that, whether they will remortgage it at that value or 2.1.
They won't do it at 2.1.
They won't do it at 2.1.
No, because it's just been stamped at 1.7.
So how much is it going to cost you for the bridge?
Well, the bridge is obviously going to be higher, probably double the cost in terms of the interest per annum, interest per month, and then more annualised. And then there's the entry and exit cost, of course. So it is going to cost more. And so if I want to bridge in and then refinance back out, I need to, as I said before, think about all the costs associated with those two and put them into the equation. And then see if the
1% a month loan.
Yeah, 1.04 I've looked at the minute, but yeah.
Can I just ask, on that basis, if you bridge it, you're looking for an exit strategy, take back what's a normal finance package, why would you, and you're saying it's stamped 1.7, if you bridge it, or you're doing is delaying the...
If I'm cash, then you...
Then it's not
stamped at that then, because you bought the cash, so then it's not going to cost the market. So then you put that on it.
It's stamped
It's not a market value.
It is stamped on the bridge, it's stamped on the bridge, that's what I understand.
If you took a bridge, what value, what's the bridge, what you expect the value to be?
I'll come to how I'm going to do it.
Rob saying something first, he was in line, and then Mark and I think Mike.
So Raj,
Yeah.
3 and 4 bedrooms,
Yes.
are they all buy to let?
They are. Yes.
is there a revenue from that at the moment?
100%. They're all occupied. That's what I want to do. I want to buy properties that are tenants in situ and they're cash flowing straight away. I don't want to buy somewhere, sink my money into it, wait for 3, 4, 5, 6 months while I refurb it.
Does it need his money all at once straight away? Can you not could you option it and phase it?
Okay, so I've asked that question, and when I said, well, when I inquired about his renewables deal, I said, oh, I'd like to do that actually. If it's a really good deal, can you send me the details? How much is it going to cost you? He goes, I need £300,000 to go and do that deal. Right. And I was like, so you need £300,000 then? Is that what you need? So I parted on our last conversation by saying, if I can find a way to get you that £300,000, do you think there's a different way we can structure this and structure it differently? Would you be interested? He went, yeah, I'd be interested in something like that. So the option of an option is there, but I've not gone down that route just yet. So it could be a controlled outlay later. I'll buy it at 1.7. I'll buy it in however long.
But at 300 grand outlay,
yeah,
you've got a good opportunity for a GIM partner. I wouldn't go for JV because they're too expensive.
Yeah.
But GIM or some kind of temporary finance, which is the best deal. We get you on the ladder.
Yeah.
We get him satisfied.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to the second one, it all depends on the vendor, doesn't it? Because on the second one, I proposed something that was slightly more complicated. And I've mentioned this before to somebody in the room. There's two parties, husband and wife, they're separating. But the wife's a lawyer as well. She's like, not doing anything complicated. I am not doing anything complicated. So the option was just off the table there. So he's willing to think about it and talk about it. So that could very definitely be a way to go, yeah.
Because you've got revenue coming in.
Yeah.
That is going to offset some of the costs if it's over a period of time.
Yeah.
Or to go into the equation.
For me, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
If I'm willing to deploy my capital, whether it's my capital directly and or investor capital, I want income straight away.
Yeah.
Mark, I think, wanted to say something?
How's the portfolio help?
It is in a company, but I would not buy the company, I would just buy the individual properties.
Why?
I don't want the potential liability of buying the company. I would lenders prefer you not to buy the company and want a clean start. So I'm setting up an SPV and buying them into the SPV rather than having all the risk associated with buying a company. But also, if you buy a portfolio in a company, then you bought the company. So if this 1.7 million, actually he bought the properties 20 years ago and he's only spent £500,000 on buying all the properties, now you're sat on a gain that sits in the company that there's going to be a corporation tax liability on as well. So that's something else that I'd be going, well, I need to factor that into the price. And he's going to go, well, no, I don't want that. So you might get a lower commercial stamp because it's a company purchase. I think it's 0.5% instead of the stamp duty. But for numerous reasons, I just don't think it's the right thing to do. Clean slate is what I prefer to do.
Raj, sorry.
I think you just jumped in. There's two hands over here.
Yeah, Raj, sorry.
Using his seniority.
He's using his privilege.
So he wants 300 grand. How much does he owe on the property? Because that could be another factor.
I think he owes about 1.4 properties.
No, how much is this unencumbered?
No, he owes 1.4.
Right, so for you to own it, it's more than 100, isn't it?
Well, it depends on your definition of own, because what I was talking about was an option, so control now, pay later. And I'm like, actually, it probably needs to be an exchange delay completion, because I want some certainty on I'm putting my £300,000 down, then
absolutely.
I want him committed. Yeah.
At type price.
Yes.
Better, please.
Sorry, guys.
Raj, how desperate are you to get, because from what you're telling me, so far the options sounds very promising and very appealing, obviously, if it was both of you. But if it's not an option, if you're buying the properties, how desperate are you to actually get the money out straight away?
I'm not desperate to get the money out straight away, but given what we've said is there's a moment in time, that moment in time is 18 months, 24 months at tops. If my money's sat here for 24 months, I'm not getting to go again.
Just raise more money. But this is
I get that. That's going to come into this part of the conversation.
Not to split slides, if you really want our help in them, but show us what you
Well, let me tell you what I'm going to do. Is that we've got on the next one. So here's my plan. So if you look at it as a target, so the target value is £2.1 million. If I was to do a 75% on that means I'll be getting 1.575. So how close can I get to that? Because that's my target. So all the landlord wants, all the vendor wants is £1.7 million. And there's 20 properties in there. Average would be £85,000. If you took a bunch of the properties, so 16 of the properties, and you said they're 100k, that's going to get you 1.6 million pounds. Now, at Land Registry, these are all stamped at 100k. So if I wanted to exit to something else, it's 100k. On the last 4 properties, I've just got to make up the gap for the vendor. So he sells them to me at 25k a piece. Once he's done that, he's got his 1.7 million pounds. If I got to refinance these, the surveyor's going to come along and look at the 100k ones and go, well, it looks about reasonable. 85 to 100k, okay, fair enough. Might have overpaid a little bit, but that's reasonable. But on these ones, 25k, he's going to go, these ain't 25k. If I put these at 25k, I'm going to lose my job. So he's going to go and value those at more like 85 to 100,000 pounds. And if all the other like ones were just done 100,000 pounds, he's going to go, well, that one next door looks exactly the same, and it's 100,000 pounds. So this is probably the price of that one. So my way is to split them up into 2. Confirm with the vendor he's going to get his 1.7 million pounds. He's comfortable by splitting up into 2 categories. So a bit like you were saying, Brett, but slightly different. And then if I could do that, I'm going to get 75% of 1.6 million, 75% of the 85,000, valued at 85,000, so times 4 is 340,000. So that's 255. So I'm getting 1.455, which is pretty close to the 1.575. Now, your point, Chris, is if I'm going to finance in, bridge in, and then go out to a term loan, I just need to do all the numbers on cost as well, and make sure it all adds up. But that's the theory. Would you now do this deal? Is my question.
That's a question.
Yeah, and then Ian? No, obviously then.
So my question is, if you're selling over 25k each, would there be any sort of like, I don't know, like complication in terms of, first of all, how did you get this at that price in terms of if you're leveraging it later? Also in terms of like, is it going to look like so undervalued? Is there going to be an issue with that?
Okay, so I think the only issue comes with HMRC.
Yeah,
right?
It's a tax.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay stamp on 85k.
Oh, I see. Clever.
I'm going to pay HMRC as if it was 85k. I'm going to make sure I pay stamp on the whole 1.7 million pounds, and not look like I'm doing something.
Okay.
It wasn't chicky chicky, was it? For example.
Okay, so that's how you get around that.
Yes.
Thank you.
My question was on the same point, but you will end up paying stamp duty on the 100,000 for the 16 properties, because you won't be able to convince the HMRC you're buying for 100, yeah, so you pay slightly more stamp duty.
Yes, that's quite right. That's why I need to do all the numbers and look at all of the costs and the kind of finance costs in and out and all that kind of stuff as well.
Just the old stamp will be on the lowest bracket, should we say?
Yeah.
Under whatever number it is. They're all low value properties.
They are low value properties, yeah.
Because if you're buying one piece of 1 point, the stamp will be overall.
Yes.
Yeah. So you'll find it.
Well,
are those 4 properties habitable?
They're all habitable. They're all being let at the minute. Yes.
That's a shame.
I can point some stamp if they're uninhabitable. Yes.
And get capital allowances to put them back together.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see if we get some Section 21s and mess the properties up a little bit before we find them.
My cut will be.
Yeah. No, it's a really good point actually. I'll think about that one.
What's the monthly rent they're averaging?
Well, the gross plus the 20 is about £175,000. So they're about 750-ish, some 650, 750, around about there. Okay, so that's our first one. Thank you for.
Now's the complicated one.
That was a complicated one. Yeah. The next one is a student portfolio. So portfolio student lets in Chester. There's 9 in total. They're in an Article 4 area, which is good. And why is the vendor selling? Well, they've gone through a divorce. So he lives in Preston now. They did live in Chester. He doesn't want to be managing a portfolio in Chester, nor does his wife anymore. The lawyer, remember, she wants a simple life. So that's the rationale. He refinanced recently with Paragon, so July 23, and the valuation at the time was £3 million for this portfolio. So he got a loan on a 2-year fix based on that £3 million valuation, and so he's thinking about, I buy it now, but then he's thinking about his penalties, or I buy it in a year's time, and the price comes down a little bit from his point of view because there's no penalties, exit penalties for him. My first offer, I've not put my first offer on there actually because I'm embarrassed by it, that's what I said that earlier, but the first real offer was 2.25 million, which he rejected. He's come back and said 2.4 and it's yours. I'm going to view next. So now I'm like, well, this is worth me going to view the properties now. So I can view on Thursday and fall in love with the vendor a bit more, and then try and figure out, where do we land in between 2.25 and 2.4. If it's at the 2.9 million valuation and we end up at 2.35, which is what I'm boldly assuming there, we're going to get about a 19% discount as well. My question to you on this one is the same. Would you do the deal? Why don't we stop there? Have a show of hands, would you do this deal?
Can you read out the ROCI?
The equity on day one is the equity return on day one is 83%, and the rental return is 17%.
Is that net
In year
yield?
one.
Is that net yield or gross?
No, that's ROI. It's ROI, but the costs you can see here as well. So I've taken into account lettings management fee and bills.
No, I don't think it particularly matters, but I think probably 6 out of 9 are in Article 4.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 of them are.
Yeah.
Are you saying yours?
David lives in Chester, and he very kindly went around and did a drive-by, didn't you, David? Yes.
HMO student market in Chester.
Yeah.
Is the unit building blocks? Like, is that?
So I spoke to
clear?
I called up the accommodation people, and they said since COVID it's gone like that in terms of students, probably flattening this year versus last year. They see a reasonable amount of international students. So they're broadening their kind of appeal, as lots of universities are, not just appealing to people in the UK. So and these are all, as David said, some are in Article 4, but they're all very close to the university. So I'm comforted by the fact that they're not building loads of blocks. They said they're not building loads of blocks. I asked them about PBSA, and they've got any deals with people building purpose-built student accommodation. Sorry, and they said they don't have any deals, but if someone's going to do it, they just do it off their own back. And if they're going to do that, they're going to go and have a conversation with them as well. So I don't think there's masses of building going on. I think there's a market still.
And if, let's assume the worst, they build 10 blocks.
Yeah.
Is there a normal blue collar, let's say normal workers?
Yeah.
Professional
I
market
think there is a secondary market, yes, but I probably need to do a bit more homework on that. I'll be totally honest with you. I need to make sure that if A happens, what's the exit?
I think if all the student HMOs like to switch to blue collar or more professional, then there probably would be an overall supply.
Yes.
If we did it. So I still think there needs to be a huge demand.
Yeah.
But obviously it's hard to perform that.
Yeah. I like the capital growth here more than I do in the Wigan portfolio. In the past 5 years, it's in these postcodes, it's like 29%. The capital growth is good. So this for me is a buy and hold, and the other one's a buy and hold as well. So, but here I think I'm going to get good, much better capital growth, so the refinance opportunity is going to be much better.
So, are you thinking of one or the other, or are you hoping for both?
Really?
Good.
It's not either or, I want to do both. The first one is first in the queue, and this one is slightly behind.
And how much profit are you making cash flow from the rent and the mortgages and the costs?
So rental income's 320,000, and you're netting about 120,000.
I do.
Every day.
Is that net rent? 320?
No, that's the gross rental, 320.
What's the net rent? After all
Well, it's about 116 after all these costs. So after interest payments, building insurance, management fees and bills, I haven't put voids and maintenance in there. And the reason is because, again, it's a portfolio, they're not all going to be the same, so I'm not going to put 10% across all of them, but I probably should put something in there for it, you're right. They're on a 50 out 52 weeks basis as well.
Yeah, so if you take out your interest costs, what's the net rent after voids and maintenance?
Can somebody do that for me?
Well, it's...
Can you see it? Well, it's 116.
It's 320, take away the interest payments, which is 100, so that's 220. And then you just said the voids. So the voids, if you say the voids and maintenance is going to be 10%, it's basically the lettings management is 12% in here. So you're down to 220 and you take off another 30, about 180.
Voids are different for a student let anyway.
Yeah, that's what I said, it's 50 out of 52 weeks of the year, it's rented out, so yeah.
So you pay it, so you buy this at 7.5% rental, you net. You look at £180,000 against £2.4 billion,
Yeah.
7.5% net rent.
Yeah.
Raj, how has it been valued? Is it being valued on the rental side?
I think Paragon did a commercial valuation.
So do you know what it would be on bricks and mortar valuation? If you're buying it on that student rentals?
Yeah. Well, the ones in Article 4, I'm assuming, are going to be commercial, and the ones outside of Article 4 will be more on bricks and mortar. So it's somewhere in between. Like I said, I valued this one at 2.5.
on bricks and mortar?
On a hybrid, on both. On commercial valuation, I think that was based on a 7 times multiple, and then bricks and mortar on the others.
Okay, and on the hybrid, there's still 3 to 4 beds, are they? None of them are licensed HMOs, did you say?
No, they're all licensed.
They're all 5
They're all
bedrooms?
licensed, yeah.
Okay.
Everything's licensed, yeah.
And 4 bedrooms?
Yeah, all floors are smaller, so I think it goes up to 9. There's a 9 bed, a 7 bedder, a bunch of 6 beds, and maybe a couple of 4 beds.
The short answer is like, I do it, I rework your numbers for HMOs, and kind of looks like a buy to let to analyse it to me. Just as an observation, so I make sure you're using Aaron's HMO analyse. There's nothing wrong with bulking it up, right? Like I'm not saying do 6 for how many years, I'm not saying do 6, but I am saying make sure you take into consideration lending based on an HMO. I always prefer to buy it on bricks and mortar, but you know your decision, you can look at it individually to see how they valued it, because that will be important going forward. As commercial valuations come down, and then it affects your cash flow. And then, but like generally the numbers are going to be right, and they're not going to fundamentally change when you add in the bits that you're currently missing. But I would start that exercise rather than buy it.
Thanks. Any more for any more? There is no. If you go to the next slide. I've got a plan other than buy and hold for this one. So I haven't thought through, do I bridge in, do I refinance back out and all that kind of stuff. It's just not in my thinking. I think this is slightly different, and this is a buy at the right price, hold, good rental demand. And refinance every years because we get good capital growth in Chester.
So Ross, you doing that by yourself or are you looking for joint venture?
Oh, thank you very much!
How much did you pay for that, Michael?
Perfect timing. So, on both of these, I'm going to fund the first one myself, but then I'd like to have an investor come in, probably on a guaranteed interest, and then on the second one, this one I'm maybe slightly more flexible, but I'd like to. Now you might understand why I want to get my money out of the first one, because I wanted to go back towards this one. So that's the plan, and then I either get an investor in on the guaranteed interest to fund maybe half of this. But yes, I'm definitely happy to talk to people if they're interested in investing in these portfolios.
And they're both individually stand up to a decent GIA?
Yes, that's the plan.
Am I right, there's the gap between the valuation that goes on land registry and what you revalue? We're only looking at 6 months.
Yes, so the latest conversation I've had is probably 12 months. So
Okay. Is that because it's taken so long to put the stuff through to land registry?
Oh no, sorry, I misinterpreted your question. So yes, when it gets onto land registry, 6 months. But if you bridged in, you might get a bridge that's a minimum 3 month term. So you can get out after 3 months, but you're not going to have the valuation increase.
You'd have to make
if you want the valuation increase, it probably need to be in 12 months is what I'm telling you. I'm being told. So I've spoken to a broker and I said, can you do the entry and exit? Can you do the bridge and get me the exit as well? And what he said is that lenders are saying after 12 months they're pretty happy they're going to do a new valuation and they won't go on the 1.7. But then to Chris's point, I've now got 12 months worth of bridge costs and so on. So I'm going to factor that into the equation. Is that really going to work or not? Obviously, I want to get in and out after 3 months, but I'm good.
Unless you're adding value doing something.
Yes. Which I don't want to do. That's not me. I just want to maintain the rental income.
Just invest in others, right?
Instead of paying bridge for 12 months, just have a 2-year mortgage.
If I get a 2-year mortgage, I could go to a 2-year term loan, and I'm probably paying a slight premium on that. Because all the 5 years are cheaper at the minute, blah blah blah. So, and like I said, I'm waiting 2 years. If on this one, it's probably not an issue because if the first one comes first, then on this one I'm probably relatively comfortable going to a term loan. But on the first one, I definitely need to get my money out to put into this one. To then, but your point's well made, Georgina. I need to find a lot more investors.
I think it's interesting, isn't it? Like, and I struggle as well with the psychology of raising money. We all have our own quirks, our own way of viewing things. But at the end of the day, I get the impression that you're planning on being in the build phase for at least the next 5 years. So whether you've got the money out to invest in 6 months or whether you've got it out in 2 years, even if you get it out now, you're still going to want more money into it. So and what Aaron did with us was we were looking at a deal where we like to bridge it to get money out, but then we're paying bridging costs, we're actually losing some of that money. Or do we put it on over 2 years? So we're having exactly the same conversation but on one house rather than a portfolio. And in the end we did it cash, so we had slightly cheaper than bridging costs, but more than fixed terms, so it was in between.
We just raised extra 100k and we solved the problem neither and then just deployed in cash.
So that's another option to look at. But what we were looking at with Aaron, and that's the calculation I think it would be good for you to do, is okay, if I I'm basically paying to get my money out early.
Yes.
First, you've got to make sure that that money is coming out, and I have some reservations because you're not adding value, and it's been stamped with land registry, so that will be for you to satisfy that you can achieve that. And then it's looking at, okay, what is the money that I would need to spend? What's the cost of finance to get that money out? And do I want to spend, say, 20,000 to get out my 500,000, or would I actually rather not pay 20,000, but then I'm willing to wait? When we worked it out, it was the equivalent of paying an investor about 8%. So we could just go out and loan money at 8%, and actually in real terms, our cost of finance of the business is the same. So it's just a different way of thinking about it. Because if your cost of finance, let's say it's the equivalent of giving an investor 10%, well, you can raise the amount of 10%. So don't worry about getting the money out. In real terms, and money coming in and out of the business, it's the same. So I just encourage you to have a look at that calculation. And that, to me, would dictate what you do. Because if it says actually it's the equivalent of lending to the investor at 6%, but you can only raise money at 8 to 10%, then obviously you want to get that. You want to pay the cost to get that money out. So for me, it's looking at the cost of finance.
Yes, yeah. I suppose, thank you for that. That's absolutely, I know I need to go away and do those numbers, but for me, it's the speed.
Just don't get psychologically blocked. I know what I'm saying. I need to get that money out. Let the numbers.
Rush. I think the most important is actually to do the deal, regardless which way. Just do the deal.
I agree.
And that's everyone here. It's do the deal.
Yeah.
Like it can be a bit better, a bit worse, whatever. But
and if you need more money, go out and raise it.
just do it.
just take one more because we're a little bit late. We can continue if necessary. But Chris,
consider vendor finance.
On which one?
So EFG.
Well, they've both got quite considerable debt on them.
Right.
So vendor finance is, they're not unencumbered, so vendor finance is going to be difficult. Otherwise, it was my first thing I was going to say. If they're unencumbered, Is that it? We have time.
Well, unless there's any, have you done your proposal on that?
That's
that was it. Sorry.
I've got no further design hold on that one.
Yeah, can we continue with any more questions in the break or afterwards, just because we're gasping for a cup of tea or maybe? Yeah. So we're going to break now. Can I just have a, we'll give Raj a quick round of applause. We've working very hard together. Can I just ask if anyone has got a deal they want to put forward in case I've forgotten? Anybody got a deal? I thought Lorraine back here. I think Lorraine's got a deal to show us. And of course Ian has. So we have got more to do. That's great. Just couldn't remember. That's all. About 15 minutes. It's all right.